What is up, everybody? It's Sam, and we are back with another episode of Pessimistic at Best, the podcast. And I have Sarah on the pod. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
It's your first podcast?
Yes. Oh my gosh. No, I'm so excited to be having this first time with you.
Yay.
I feel so comfortable.
Well, low stakes, like I said. This podcast is very relaxed, safe space because you can swear. We can chop it up.
Thank goodness. Thank
I've
goodness.
got James on, editing skills.
We're free. I love
perfect.
that.
But I'm excited to have you on. I'm also excited to just reconnect with you. It's been forever.
I know. I think the last time that I saw you, it was before you had cut your hair.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
No, honestly,
Yeah,
I feel like I haven't. I know. And I remember even seeing the pictures and being like, I love that. You pull it off so well.
Thank you.
Yes.
My hairstylist in Madison, who she actually cut Sophia's hair too. I've been seeing her since I was in 7th grade. Her name's Megan. She's awesome.
Megan, shout out to Megan.
Literally.
We have to shout out Megan.
She's the best. I've actually been trying to get her on this podcast, so we'll have to make that happen soon.
Megan?
But literally a threat. But she's been wanting to cut my hair off for forever.
Really?
And she kind of kept getting shorter, and I'm cool with it. I kind of let her do whatever she wants. For me, hair is something fun to experiment with. Not everybody feels that way, but
yeah.
And so I think it was during the pandemic, and she was like, let's just do it. If you hate it, you're not going to see anybody.
That's such a good point. That really was a great time to make big leaps.
Yeah. And when I first did it, I did kind of hate it. I went from a bob to a French bob to a pixie, basically.
Yeah.
And it was way heavier on the top, and which was my inspo photo. It's not she did what I asked.
Isn't that is so hard
Yeah.
when you are given what you asked for.
Right. You're I did this to myself.
It's like on Fleabag. I think there's a scene when they
I fucking love that show.
Anthony. No, but then you look and you're like, oh, that's exactly what I asked for.
Wrong choice,
Yeah.
but it is my own doing. So, but yeah. And then when I first cut it, it took me a while to kind of figure it out. Now I feel like I have a Brady Bunch, sort of little mullet situation going on, but I like it.
I love it. I really do. It suits you so well, and you have a
Thank
great way of
you.
styling it. But I'm the same way. I will sit down and I'm just you're the doctor, you're
Totally.
the expert. I'm going to just let you
Take it away.
Yeah, do what you want to do because
You have a great head of hair.
Thank you so much. No, shout out to Azure too. She also hooks me up.
There's nothing like a good hairstylist.
No, I mean, well, I have just started to have grays. So I now have to do color.
Yeah.
I don't have to do color. I just choose to do color. Now I'm doing something really brave where I have a couple that I just let stick out before. I know. It's
I
so
kind of
great.
like it.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
My hairstylist started making fun of me when I started getting grays because she was like, Sam, why are you so stressed? She's like, you need to relax.
Look at the world around us.
I know. Impossible. And they are funny. I never knew that they're wiry. They're a little bit more coarse.
That was something which made it a lot easier to get it with tweezers for me.
Right.
But then when I went in and they were just it's gonna grow back the same. You can do that if you want, but you're just plucking out a hair that's gonna grow back the same way. And I was like,
true.
Okay,
I know.
Very bothered.
Set up to fail.
I know.
Well, and for me, I actually haven't seen anybody here. So since moving here, I've literally been cutting my own hair, and James helps.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it have you ever made anything you're oh God, we need to go somewhere?
So the only time that we fully fucked up was I basically bought this. I work in a lot of my clients are in the salon professional industry,
Okay.
and in Madison, I actually did marketing specifically for a salon. I worked at a salon. So I bought this feathered razor that I could use to do my bangs. And that was kind of the main purpose. But then I just started using it over my whole head. And so James will do the back for me. But there was one time where he was holding the razor and he was also holding a comb. And I think he thought he was going in with the comb. So he went very close to the scalp. And then I just hear, and then I hear,
oh no.
And I was like, oh no. I immediately started crying and I was like, what happened? And he was like, I'm so sorry. And I felt, and I had straight up a little tuft.
Oh no.
You could kind of cover it.
Yeah, right.
I think it's fully grown out.
Sure.
But that was Honestly, probably like back in like September of last year, so it's been a while, but
yeah, no, so
crazy.
that by this point it's like, but that is the beautiful thing about hair. It just grows right back.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's why I've always felt like it's fun to experiment with. I know some people who don't touch their hair at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's also just people that like are so blessed that they do not, or when they start to gray, it just looks so good that they can keep it.
Totally.
Like I just haven't really, I don't know. Maybe it's like an age thing for me where I'm just like not ready to totally let it come in.
I know.
But maybe I should, because I think
I think gray hair looks cool.
It really does.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I see it much, and I'm just like, oh, like I really, every time I see it, I'm like, that is so awesome. Mm-hmm. Like I love her. Yeah. Like thank you for showing me that.
I always think of like Stacy and What Not to Wear.
Yes. Oh my God.
So hot.
I know. And every time I see her videos, I'm just like, she did it first. I feel like she was one of the first people that had like that gray streak.
Yeah.
I loved that show.
I know.
That was a great show.
A crazy
What
show.
happened to that? That was like Queer Eye before. Well, Queer Eye, the original had come out before that, but like that show of like taking everyday people.
I know.
I love a show like that.
Me too. I used to actually really want to submit my so Tokyo Middle School, there was this woman, I don't really know. I know that she worked in the detention, like she worked with the detention kids. I don't know what she did with the rest of her day.
Just came in at 4:00
Literally.
to just watch the kids that got in trouble.
And she would like wander the halls. She was a very strange woman. And she also always, all times of the year, was wearing like some full holiday themed outfit. So like, and I can't even remember if it always matched up with the holidays. I'm assuming that's what she was aiming to do. But like all of October, she was decked out in like witchy striped leggings, like a bright orange pumpkin shirt, like something, a witch hat on her head, like crazy. It was like you're finding those items at Party City.
Yeah,
like, just
she
nuts.
went for it. She said, I'm not going to
She was never
half-ass.
in normal clothes. I really wanted to put her on What Not to Wear. Like so bad.
Now I'm trying to remember what his name was.
Yeah, what was his name? Like Clinton?
Yes, Clinton and Stacy. Oh my God. And it was like a name where it's like, I should remember this. Yeah. But, oh no, those were the best, because you'd see like just people come in and like just have this full transformation just from their clothes.
Yep.
But now that I think about it, that really, I mean, so much about like what we wear is kind of an externalization of how we're feeling.
Very true. That is true. So you have to wonder what's going on in that woman's mind.
Yeah. Yeah. She really was like, I am not afraid.
Yeah.
And in a middle school.
I know, because kids are bullies.
They are mean.
Yeah.
In middle school kids particularly, I'm 27 years old. I am still afraid of middle school.
100%. If I see a group of tweens walking around, I'm getting the fuck out.
I would, like, I think John Mulaney had a joke about that. He's like, I'm crossing the street. I would cross the street.
Literally.
I don't want I don't want to give them a reason or give them any fuel to say anything to me at all.
No, and quite frankly, there's nobody who could tear me down faster.
Yeah. Oh no.
I don't stand a chance.
I'm terrified. When I like started as an intern for being like a therapist, like I'm now just a graduate intern therapist, so I always try to very clearly delineate that. But no, my first client was a teenager. And I was terrified, because I was like, the whole day before, I was just thinking like, what if she doesn't want to be here? What if they're bringing her in against her will? Or like, what if something, like you just really don't know. And then I ended up having the session, and like, now I love her. Like we have a pretty good like back and forth. And I like, now I have seen a couple more teens where I have so much more empathy for them than I think I allowed myself to have for a while, because it was because I am generally pretty scared of them.
Totally. I mean, and it's like us versus them vibes.
Yes.
Like, but I do think, I can't imagine being a teenager right now. I mean, I'm so glad I'm not.
I know. No, honestly, as much as like I fear them, I also at the same time have so much hope for them.
I know.
Because like you see some of the things that they have like been able to organize and do. And
Gen
I'm
Z
like,
is incredibly cool.
Oh my God, the coolest. Yeah. I mean, really, like as much as we like complain about how they never had to go through like an ugly phase, which I am a little bit, I'm
envious of that.
Oh, absolutely.
I also think it builds character, so it's kind of not fair.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, I would not be the person sitting here today
Same.
if I had not been the young, insecure teen that I once was.
You got to get bullied a little.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You got to get knocked down to size.
It's only natural.
Yeah. I mean, what were you like as like a little kid?
That is a great question. I honestly was really shy.
Yeah.
I'm an only child. So I think a lot of it comes from that. I spent a lot of time around adults. So I was like not very comfortable around kids for a while. I remember going to like family functions and like there's always like the kids table. And I was like, hell no, I'm sitting with my parents.
Yeah.
I'm having distinguished conversation. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I moved to Madison when I was like 8. I actually moved, I think the same day or at least the same weekend as Sophia, which is how we became friends.
I remember that being your guys' like origin story, for lack of a better term.
And like Sophia and I think once I got here, we like established like good friendships in elementary school, middle school. I mean, Sophia was also one of my earliest bullies. Love her though. So it's only natural between friends. And I would say like our friend group was hard on each other for sure. It was like fun.
Sam, were you the one that went to Brigadoon? When she performed in Brigadoon, did you go to Brigadoon?
No.
Who was that? I'm trying to remember which friend that was because I think I remember Sophia saying that like a friend or no, her parents were out of town, so like she was staying with someone and her parents came to Brigadoon and watched her.
Then that must have been me, unless it was pre her moving.
I don't know. I feel like it was. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just remembered that specific
Maybe that's a core
story.
memory I can't unlock right now. I blocked it out.
I mean that show. I've never seen Brigadoon, but just the name alone makes it sound very funny to me.
Well, and then on vice versa, I was like bringing Sophia to church. I'm sure she was like, "What the hell is this?"
Wait, what ministry were you brought up in?
I was brought up Catholic.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's break down that trauma.
I know it is crazy. And I was brought up Catholic. Like I didn't go to Catholic schools.
Okay.
James actually went to Catholic schools.
So did I. I went to Catholic from K to 12. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like all the way through middle school.
Yeah. But
that's
like,
what he did, I think.
But I was like in a very, like, for Iowa, again, like, somewhat bigger, but by any other standard, pretty small. And so the Catholic school in that town was even smaller. So like I graduated with 45 kids.
Okay, his was like that too.
Yeah, like where you know everybody.
Yeah.
So did you do like CCD or what'd you call it?
Yeah, youth ministry or whatever.
Youth ministry.
Yeah.
For anyone that's not Catholic, that's when you're preparing to get First Communion or...
You do it for First Communion and then you keep going for confirmation.
Right, yeah, okay. So what day of the week was that?
Was Wednesdays.
Where was it at?
So he went to St. Maria Goretti, which was my church, and we would go to their school for youth ministry, which is actually how we met. And it's so funny too because I said that out loud recently, and it was when Sophia was last in Chicago, and she was like, "Is that the story you guys are going with?" And I was like, honestly, no, I've never really said that to anybody. I don't know why I'm saying it now, but it is a story. You know, my grandma loves that. It's good for grandmas.
I'm sure she eats that up.
Yeah. So we went on Wednesdays. It was fine. I mean, I had fun. It was like, I had a lot of friends in it and a lot of like, you know, because we're like then semi-Catholics where we're kind of trying, but we're not all the way there.
Were you like an every week type of, was your family at church every Sunday?
For a while, yes. And then I think like the political climate made my mom kind of turned off from it a little bit. So we started distancing ourselves gradually, and then they don't go anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I could think of a couple of reasons why.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
So I did get confirmed and all of that. But even at that point, I don't think we were going to church as much anymore.
Yeah.
Plus, when I was a teenager, I mean, I was like, the absolute last thing I want to go and do is sit in this musty, dusty castle and sing songs. Yeah.
On a Sunday.
I'm sleeping in.
I just don't get why it had to be Sunday.
I know. Did you guys have to go to church during school during the week?
So yeah, we had elementary school. I feel like we did weekly mass, and I think ours was also on Wednesdays. Like I think every Wednesday we had like mass, and we would all go in the gym, and the elementary kids would have to sit on the gym floor. No back support. I mean, I'm sorry. They wonder why my posture's so bad.
Straight up.
Because I had to sit it was a lot. And then once we got older, when we were in high school, I think we only had to go once a month, but when we did have it, it'd be all school mass. So that's when like,
oh wow.
And our school originally, when I was like until second grade, it was like a separate, really old building, but the wiring was so bad. So they built onto our high school like an entire elementary school. So like literally you could go preschool to high school in the exact same building.
That's kind of crazy.
It was interesting because like, I mean, really those kids, like from the time we were little, we were growing up with each other.
Yeah.
So you just like knew people on like a different level. It was just so interesting. And now like thinking ahead to like, we were just talking about how our 10-year, is this too much for the pod?
Reunion.
Is this
no.
too much for the pod? Our 10-year high school reunions are next year.
I know. It kind of makes me sick to my stomach.
A little bit. I'm just like, no, I graduated like a couple weeks ago. I'm going off to school in the fall.
I know.
Like, I don't know what they're talking about. Do you think you'll go? At this point, who knows? I mean.
I know. Same. I like our class president, Monica Ford, shout out. I feel like she'll probably put something fun together, but
come on, come through, Monica.
See. Yeah.
Come on. I love that. Honestly, it is good. It is smart that like it is kind of established. Is it like an unspoken or a written rule that like the class president plans the high school reunions?
I think it's a written rule. Okay. I think that's kind of what you sign on for. Because to be honest, what else does a class president do?
I mean, really, honestly, I don't think I was class president senior year and my friend was student body president. So like, she's really more the one that like, I'm kind of trusting to take the reins on this whole reunion thing.
Yeah.
Because because we are such a small class, we did a 5-year reunion.
Oh, really?
And that was like, even that was just so interesting because by like that point, we didn't really have a whole lot that like anyone had really accomplished yet, you know, like we were
at that point people are like just graduating college.
Exactly. Yeah. So people were just out of college, like all kind of
like who the hell knows,
still very much figuring it out. So I feel like we got probably pretty like sloppy at the 5-year, and I'm imagining how it's going to be at the 10, but I mean, who knows at this point.
Well, our high school also does like the Blackout Wednesday very much. So
Blackout Wednesdays are something we do. Like my family does. So my dad's side of the family is very small. My mom's side is like Irish Catholic, huge.
Totally.
Like where we have Thanksgivings that are like 125 people.
Oh my God.
So it's like, that's
a lot of people to feed.
Right. We rent out like a church basement. All of this to say, yes, like every other year I'll be back for Blackout Wednesday. Yep. And every year I'm just like, oh my God, like being back in this same bar with like all these same people.
I know.
And all of the changes now.
It's like kind of a crazy experience.
Yeah. You look around and you're just like, she's a nurse. She's taking care of and being entrusted with people's lives. Like
so are you?
Yeah, I know. Right. Being like in this new stage of life of like having jobs where like you are kind of having more of that responsibility. Yeah. I mean, it literally feels like I had like a client that had kind of described having like shift anxiety, which I'm like, that is so, do you feel that like right before work, just like, oh God, like
I would say yes. I mean, and for me too, it's interesting. I worked in the service industry, like in college, I worked at a couple restaurants, worked in retail. Restaurant jobs really stress me out. I'm not built for that. I don't know why. I always found that to just be a stressful environment.
Yeah.
Retail was obviously a little bit slower pace. So it was fine, but it was boring.
Yeah.
And now this job, I mean, I work in social media marketing, so by no means am I saving lives, but it's definitely like my clients feel like everything is life or death, which is like, come on, we're just posting on Instagram.
I mean,
let's relax.
Yeah. I think that people have like, I also work like now I have a job where I work at the front desk of a gym.
Yeah.
And people are the exact same way.
I know. It's like everything is to do or die. It's crazy.
Yeah. We'll approach you with the intensity of like, my child is drowning. Yes. But what they're really talking about is like, I can't find the towel that I set down on a chair. Totally. And I'm just like, I don't know how to help you right now.
I know.
You know what I have found that helps is talking to people like they are toddlers.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I like that strategy.
Yeah. If you honestly, like when people start to come up and like just get mad at you, just being like, I know that sounds really frustrating.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, people just want to be heard.
They absolutely do. I mean, I literally, that is my job now is just to hear people and like to listen. And honestly, I feel like in doing all of like the training and all of the classes to like become a therapist, I remember thinking like, oh, so much of this has to be about all the theories and all of these things in research. And like so much of it, I feel, is really people just wanting people to wanting another person to like acknowledge that what they're feeling is not crazy. Yeah. Is not like out there, or like that the things that they're going through are like valid life struggles.
Totally. Like, I think actually, I mean, I think being a therapist, that's very cool. I think it'd be very hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think especially right now, just in the current political climate, post-pandemic, I can't even imagine.
No, it is. It's, I think like being so new at it, there's so much I have left to learn, but like just in this past like semester or, you know, however many months of me really seeing clients, I've just like, it has been the hardest couple months of my life because I've been so like in my head about like, I want to do everything I can to like give these people what they need.
Yeah.
And so I'll like do all of this planning for like, we should do these things in session. And then when we end up getting in the session, like people really are able to kind of run their therapy session themselves.
Sure.
Like, yeah, they
know
really
what direction they want to take it in.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think so much of it is
that's interesting.
Being able to have like the presence and like the genuine care about like what people are saying. Yeah. Which is like, it is so much of it is just people wanting to be like acknowledged and listened to.
That's like a human need.
Oh my gosh.
For sure. A core need. Do you have like a specialty you want to go into?
Yeah, I'm like right now I'm kind of looking towards like working with grief. Okay. Because it's just something that's like personally always been important to me. When I was 18, I lost my dad to cancer. And I remember I hate to like say that it's based on like a bad experience I had with a therapist that made me want to do it. But I do remember going to like, because my dad passed away in like a hospice unit. So which was kind of nice for us in that we had another place to go besides home. Yeah. But then going back to that place and doing therapy was just like not a good idea for me. Sure. And I remember feeling like, or just like having this sense of like, this feels like I'm like forced into doing this. Yeah. And I think I really wanted to like create a space for, which I'm, you know, a lot of grief therapists want to do is just create like this sense that like, grief makes you feel like so alone sometimes. Yeah. It makes you feel like this is something that like you will never recover from. And in some ways it is. Yeah. In some ways it is something that like will be with you for the rest of your life, but it's not going to look the same all the time.
Well, I think it's about it's finding the right ways to sit with it. However, it's kind of coming up versus like trying to get through it.
Yeah. Cause if there's one thing about emotions is that they are going to be felt. Yeah. Like, you can try to push them down. You can try to run away from them. But at the end of the day, they will be felt. Yeah. Like, and so if you're not like actively doing things to like acknowledge them, work with them, sit with them. Totally. It will like manifest in ways typically that like are really bad for you.
Unhealthy.
And I think a lot of people wait for it to get to that point when it's manifesting in these really bad, negative ways that's when they'll go. But I also think like in the culture that we live in, that's the way it's been seen as like, if you're going to therapy, something's wrong with you.
You wait till you hit rock bottom.
And now I think there's definitely been like an improvement in that. Yeah. But I definitely don't think like we're all the way there yet.
For sure. I mean, I remember when my mom first started seeing a therapist, and it was a while ago. I was younger, and it was like hush hush. Like that was kind of the culture around it. It was like something maybe that you feel like ashamed of or something.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, for getting help, like that's crazy to me. Right. You're getting the stuff that you need. Yeah. So, and I think the culture around that has changed quite a bit. And now, I mean, also, I feel like people just talk a lot more openly about therapy, even make light of it, which I think is also a healthy thing to do for the most part.
100%. Yeah. Like, honestly, some of my favorite parts of sessions are where I'm genuinely just like laughing with my client or like talking with them. But I think, I think you're totally right. I think the like cultural appreciation of like what therapy is has totally changed. But I think there's also probably one of the biggest things for people that are like working in it right now are it's difficult to like differentiate the social media side of mental health.
Sure.
And like what genuinely therapy is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people think that it is like you go in, you just dump all of your feelings and see you next week. Like,
yeah,
really what therapy is supposed, or in my view of like what therapy is supposed to be, or how I like to work, is we should have goals that we're working on and like touching or bringing, or even if, and that doesn't mean that we're not talking about the things that happen on a weekly basis, but we're trying to relate them back to the patterns and the things that like we're looking to change.
Yeah, like using actual tools versus just kind of like, a big fat dump session.
Yeah, because that is also incredibly therapeutic at times, but like I think when people will like see the same therapist for like years and years and years, like, which for some certain things like is needed and justified completely, but like I think it's just sometimes questions like you have to ask yourself in therapy, like,
of course, because also like the whole point of it is to actually be working on yourself or on whatever it is.
No, and I honestly always encourage I hope that anyone that I work with challenges me and like asks me questions, and like, and if we're not doing something the way that they want to be doing it, it's your therapy. It's not for me. Like, my feelings should be on the way back burner.
You're going to be a great therapist.
I mean, fingers crossed. It's honestly, it's just like with anything new, it's just learning what you don't know until you know it.
Of course. Well, and I think, everyone's situation is so unique. It's not like there's a rule book.
No. And I think that's part of it too, when you're coming into something new where like each new person brings in a new part of like, or a new thing that you just really haven't worked with before, or something I'm not familiar with. It does give me this feeling of like, oh my God, like, am I going to be good enough for like what they're looking for? Because like at the end of the day, I want them to get where they want to go.
Of course. Yeah, I hear that for sure. I think it's interesting you mentioned the social media part too, because I feel like, of course, on social media, everyone's always like self-care, and like, that also has turned into like, it's not always about that. I mean, sure, treat yourself to a little something, but like that kind of culture around like just buy things.
Yeah,
like,
or like it's all about like taking bubble baths and doing these things. It's like that absolutely can be part of self-care, but like self-care is also like saying no to people and like confronting things about yourself that you haven't wanted to look at in a while.
100%, which is not easy to do.
No,
but
absolutely not.
It's worth the work.
100%. But that's the thing that I think sometimes, like, if people say that like, oh, I went to therapy for like a few sessions and had a really bad experience, like it can be such a number of things that like that can happen where it's like you're maybe not a good match with the person you're working with, which is very valid and happy. I mean, there's a million people and so many different therapists that work with so many different things that it's,
I mean, shopping around for a therapist is incredibly hard.
It is.
It's taxing. It's a lot of work.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And I feel like I try to really acknowledge that when people are coming into like even a consultation. Yeah. I try to get right down to business of just like, what are you looking for? Like, or if like we have differences, I ask about them. Yeah. Like if I want them to know that like I'm not uncomfortable, or you don't need to be worried about what's going to make me comfortable. Like your comfort needs to be top priority.
Well, and I think that's it too, because otherwise you could beat around the bush for so many sessions before you actually get down to like figuring out if the relationship's going to work. So
100%. Yeah. And it just kind of depends on the people that you have coming in. But yeah, I think to go back to the social media thing, I think there's so much like information going around, and especially when it's on social media, you don't know that it's correct information, that it's like...
It's oftentimes not.
It can be very anecdotal. It can be just based on the things that like you see. And it's like, that's not an actual cross section of what's going on in society.
Yeah, that's very true. I know. I have a couple of his cousin and his cousin's husband. They're both therapists, and they like... one of them, Gabby, he has a podcast, and then his husband, I want to say, just got his master's. So he's just finishing school, and like, they kind of talk about that same thing, because I think it's hard to navigate that right now, because people are also trying to search for a lot of their needs online. I mean, that's like the first thing you do sometimes. So it's like you might go, there are like social media therapists who post just all of their stuff on there. And even that, it's like you can definitely give people tools and resources, for free or whatever. But like, at the end of the day, that doesn't supplement what therapy is.
Right. One of the most harmful things you can do is make blanket statements to everyone, because it's so situation specific. Like when people say things like boundaries are about like, if something's not serving you, you say no. But it's like when you are in a relationship with someone, there is some level of being able to have expectations of a person that you're in a relationship with. Yeah. And there's nothing.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah. And I think also like having issues is normal. Yeah. Having arguments, having conflict in a relationship is normal.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times I feel like when people are searching for these things that are going to like justify the feelings that they have, they're only going to be looking for things that are going to agree with their viewpoint. Course. We go to these like internet echo chambers that only tell us what we want to hear.
I mean, people do that for all sorts of things. Politics.
Sure. Yeah.
For sure. I think that's really interesting too, because I do see things like that all the time. Like those blanket statements, those like you just cut all the negative things out of your life, whatever, like, there is something to be said for doing that for sure. Yeah. But it's also it can be really damaging, like because all of a sudden you're not giving anybody a chance.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
isn't fair. So
no, it can be very damaging to follow advice like that too, because then like you will use that information to justify things.
Totally.
And it can leave people like confused and feeling like that like is not a really justifiable reason. Right. But like all of that to say that just like being in relationships is complicated, and like more likely than not, like internet advice isn't always going to be the thing.
Yeah, it's just not enough. Yeah. It's not applied directly. It's not created for you.
Right, exactly.
Are you excited to be done with school?
Oh my gosh, yes. No, I will say though, like I feel so lucky to be in the program that I'm in, and I have just incredible teachers that have given me like opportunities and just so much information beyond like what I could ever have gotten in a book.
Sure.
So I'm like in some ways like going to be very sad to leave my school and like my program, but I am very excited to like start just like working and feeling like, and not feeling like not being a student, honestly.
Yeah, totally. Well, and so is that process, how does that work when you're done? Are you only licensed in Illinois?
That's a really good question. So yeah, you can do multiple different programs to be able to do like one-on-one individual therapy. There's like social work. I do clinical mental health counseling. Okay. So when I finish my school program, that involves like, doing schoolwork, getting a certain number of hours. When I graduate, I will have to take an exam called the NCE, which is the Illinois, it's just a licensing exam for counseling. So that will license me in the state of Illinois. And because there is different regulations in each different state, I will only be able to see clients that are located in Illinois. Yeah. So like even if I'm doing telehealth and somebody goes on a vacation, I can only see them when they are in the location of Illinois. So when I finish I'll do that exam, and that will license me to see clients, but I will still have to be under supervision until I then do like a whole nother batch of, I think it's like 2,000 hours.
Oh, wow.
And then I have to take another exam, and that gives you the LCPC, which is then you can practice by yourself and like have a private practice, and you don't have to have a supervisor. So
That's
I will
crazy.
So I will be working under a supervisor, like as a therapist for like a while yet.
Okay. Which, I mean, it's good to have guidance.
It really is. Yeah. Because it's, especially in this just like first like few months, I always feel like a bother. I'm always just like, I always have a million questions.
I think that's normal. It's imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. But no, I think like as I've just gotten along, I've just questioned myself a little bit less, because I used to do it for every little thing.
Totally.
If anything went wrong, I was like, well, what did I do?
Yeah.
But like a lot of the times, like progress in therapy is so majorly up to the client.
That makes sense. I'm sure it's a roller coaster too.
Yeah. That that doesn't mean that we still have to put in like a decent amount of work, but like if
they have to be receptive.
Right. If someone comes in and like really isn't at a place of like wanting to make changes, like then the process is trying to get them to the place that they want to.
I feel like that probably is especially true with like the teenager you were scared of or something, because like, yeah, if you're brought into therapy under the age of 18, it's not really of your own fruition. Maybe.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I got so like, I've been very lucky that like most of the people or every person I've worked with has been very like,
that's good,
willing and able and like very,
not always easy to do. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I think that I've felt very lucky in that, like I haven't had to do that, like convincing of why you should be here.
Right.
Because honestly, a lot of the time, like, I am not going to spend my time trying to convince someone that doesn't think they have a problem they do.
Yeah, that's not worth it.
Yeah, more often than not, it's a moot point, because it's like you're usually not going to be able to convince someone.
To a brick wall.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. I think it's very cool. I'm sure it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, no, but it's honestly been like a really great process so far. I've been able to like write chapters for like books and stuff. Like I've done a million different things through this program.
Are you published? That's awesome.
It's not published yet. It's going to be like, it's a few entries in like an encyclopedia for like mental health conditions and like different, even like different like social advocacy things. Like it's really great. And I was glad I got to be a part of it. And honestly, a big reason that I even wrote the entries that I did was they were like, how many do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I'll do 3 because 3 gets you a free book. And I was very much in for that. I was like, I would like the free book, please.
Hilarious. Yeah. I mean, you got to get what's yours.
Yeah, but
that's very cool.
Trying to like definitely create space outside of school has been probably like the bigger challenge, honestly. And
for
like,
sure.
because all they tell us really throughout the program is like, you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, you get it. Like, yeah,
absolutely.
Trying to take the time outside of work to like actually take care of yourself is like it's a tall order.
Well, and it's a tall order no matter what industry you're in, but I also imagine something like this where you're kind of taking on people's burdens.
Yeah.
That's hard. I mean, it just is. That's the nature of the business. You can't like leave it when you shut the laptop or close the door.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Like there's definitely like the worrying, but I think I think it's just something you like learn to deal with so many different things. I think it's like you learn how to manage that.
Well, and the good news is in a city like Chicago, at least you can stay busy.
Oh my gosh.
There are endless things to do here.
I know. That is honestly, I think that coming from like such a small town in the Midwest, I was dying to get to like a big city where I was like, I can't be bored.
Yeah.
Like, how can you be bored here?
I know. It is literally impossible. I mean, it's crazy. Even in Madison, which is, have you been to Madison?
Yeah.
Have you visited?
Remember I think I came for like, was Sophia's graduation party.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. I remember that. That was so fun.
Madison is like, one of the bigger cities in Wisconsin.
It's so fun.
It's very fun.
It's great.
I was definitely ready to get out.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's a college town. I mean, so I think it's starting to grow, but it's just been so fun since like kind of coming here. And honestly, there is a huge network of people here that I know loosely, and it's like, it's crazy.
It is insane. Like you don't really realize how small Chicago is until you're here. Like, I mean, we just ran into each other.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen you in probably like a little while, and
for sure.
And then we like ran into each other going to the beach for volleyball.
Yeah, which is crazy. I also, honestly, I don't play. He plays, and I just go for fun.
I
undefeated. Yeah.
Work.
Crazy.
Come on, Slay.
So, but yeah, it kind of blows my mind that they do that every single night of the week, and that many people are there on the beach.
Do they really?
Apparently.
I assumed it had to be more than one day of the week, but every single day.
Yeah. That's so many people are into volleyball.
That doesn't surprise me at all. But it is like hugely popular. I love the idea of rec sports because it brings me back to like.
I'm the opposite. I am so not a sporty person. I'm not a sporty girl. I actually played volleyball my freshman year, but I was on the B team, which is B for bad. They just kind of never said that out loud, but we all knew. And so I played my freshman year, and I wasn't very good. I liked it, but I am just not a competitive person.
Me neither.
I think because I'm also an only child. I like the idea.
I love the idea of like camaraderie, but when people start to get heated,
oh my God,
I'm out.
What?
I know. I very quickly am just like, I don't.
it stops being fun.
No, it's not fun if we're like worried so much about the outcome because you can only do so much.
Right.
No, I just want to have a good time. I want all my friends to be smiling and laughing and having fun.
Exactly. So, which is why I love being on the sidelines. But
yeah, you get to cheer. Exactly.
Yeah. So, but I think it's hilarious. And I mean, because they've won every time so far, it's been fun. But
no, right. How can you even have a bad time if you're winning?
Yeah. So, but I think it's crazy. And it's like, it is... I thought it was beach volleyball when he first said it, like the 2v2, like how they do in the fucking Olympics.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, this is just regular volleyball, but you're playing it on sand.
Wait, does he play 2v2?
No.
Oh, okay. I figured, is it like 6?
Yeah.
6 on 6? Okay, yeah, same.
Because that's what you guys do, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I played on the team last year. And this year I'm not playing on it, but like I would get so stressed. I would be like so viscerally stressed about like, because, and like for a good reason, they get to care about like whether they win. I just don't. Right. I really don't.
Right.
Like,
exactly. I know.
I couldn't take the pressure. I was.
Yeah. It's crazy, but it is fun. It's fun to watch. James has never played before, so he's enjoying it. But
I love that.
Yeah.
That is fun.
He hasn't really caught the serve down yet, but I only could ever do underhand.
I cannot get a serve over the net.
Not?
No, I was playing like that game I was playing. I remember feeling so good because when you rotate in and then you're playing for a couple spots before you have to serve, and so I was feeling good. Like, but one of my friends was like, "You're doing okay," because I had went in, of course, saying like, "I want to be the alternate. Like, I don't want to play that much because I know that they want to win, and that's okay."
Totally.
But then when I got to the I was doing good until I had to serve, and I don't think that whole night I got one serve over the net. I don't think, which felt bad.
Hard.
It felt bad every time. I was like, I really want to, you guys. It's not for a lack of wanting to.
Totally.
But I just couldn't get it.
Well, and I think it's cool, at least in rec sports, for the most part, it feels like low stakes.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Which I like if everybody's kind of drinking and like, but when there gets to be any sort of like negativity between the two teams, right. I'm like, I don't want this because even though I know I'm probably never gonna see these people again,
right.
like there's something about like anytime I even meet a stranger on the street, I just want to leave them with like a positive,
like
just a positive leave off.
Yes. And I mean that's like the rule of first impressions, right?
Yeah.
Like you want a people pleaser, so
oh gosh. Me too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have a competitive bone in my body. It's funny though. I'm not competitive, but I am a sore loser.
Oh yeah. I mean, like board games.
Recipe for disaster.
How's like a board game? Like,
I love a board game.
Yeah.
But if I lose, I do get grumpy.
Yeah. How long?
Am I grumpy for?
Yeah.
Great question. I think it really depends. Like it depends on how invested I am, I guess.
Maybe how long the game's been going on.
Yeah.
If it's like Monopoly.
We actually have had some really insane Monopoly stories in our friend group, Sophia. There was one day where people, I mean, quite literally, it was ruining friendships.
What?
Yeah.
When was this?
We were like playing Monopoly. I want to say this has happened a few times. There was one time that I wasn't involved in, and it was at our friend Lauren's house. I don't know if you've met her.
Yeah.
And a couple of our friends were all playing Monopoly to the point where had been playing for like 4 hours, and somebody was like banging on pots and pans. People were shouting at each other. Sophia was like, I quit. I mean, it was like, and that's happened almost every time we've played the game.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Monopoly kind of does ruin friendships.
It does ruin friendships.
It really does. It's like Miami in that way. Monopoly and Miami go hand in hand.
Yeah. Spring break is dangerous.
It really is. I've not even been to Miami. I've just heard the stories.
We went to Daytona, so perhaps even worse.
Yeah, honestly.
It definitely, I mean, quite literally, some of our friends were swinging at each other. It got physical.
Oh my gosh. See, and I wouldn't even know how to handle that. I like as a people pleaser, I cannot hop in. Like,
oh my gosh, no, so stressful.
I'm just like, when some person, can you believe that? I'm like,
I know.
No,
yeah, that's hilarious. Monopoly in Miami, true.
Monopoly in Miami. And what else? What else ends friendships? I would say probably trying to take public transportation during Lala.
Oh, totally.
Will be another thing where it can.
So I've never been to Lala. I've been to Summerfest. I feel like it's Milwaukee's version of that.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely. Trying to coordinate, especially with the number of groups or the number of people you have in your big like friend group from home. I can't imagine trying. When is like, have you guys ever taken like a big trip somewhere?
We have.
Or Daytona, you
I
said.
would say any big trip with a large group of friends, there's going to be some fights.
Yeah. Again, conflict is very healthy. Like if you know someone for that long, if you don't have fights, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like you have to wonder why.
I mean, and you mix alcohol into the situation.
Doesn't help.
Yeah. People are going to get feisty.
Who's usually like the planner?
So that's a good question. It kind of depends. I like to plan things, but when it's like a really large group, I'm not always the one. Have you met our friend Kayla?
Yeah.
She's very type A. She loves a plan. So she's definitely a planner.
Oh, thank goodness.
Same with Zoe.
Yeah. It's like
you got to have a couple planners.
Yes, you do. You need them.
I'm like somewhere in between where I can be loosey-goosey if the situation requires it.
Yeah.
But like I plan all of our trips or things like that. So it kind of just depends. What about you?
I'm kind of the same where like I will be the planner. You know what? Now that I should even pull out my planner for school, I am the planner. I am usually like in certain situations when I'm always glad to hand it off though. Right. I'm always glad when someone else really wants to. I don't need to maintain
control.
Yeah, no, yeah. But
if no one else is stepping up.
But yeah, somebody's got to corral the babies. Yeah, like somebody's got to get them all in line.
Yeah,
It's not trying to plan like anything big for that many people. Yeah, it's so much. But I have so much envy for everybody going on vacation this summer because I have nothing planned.
I don't really either. I'm starting to run out of vacation days. We're going to Denver.
Oh, fun.
But I think that's really the only thing on the books right now. My mom's an artist and she's doing the Cherry Creek Art Fair.
Oh, fun.
So, and we have some friends out there. I feel like the Madison to Denver pipeline is pretty strong.
Really? Okay, I didn't know about this pipeline.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like Madison to Denver, Chicago, of course. Yeah. And then a lot of people went down to Austin.
Okay. Austin is really,
Austin's cool.
I haven't been. I've been to Dallas, but I have not been to Austin.
See, I've been to Dallas. I feel mixed about Dallas. No offense. It's not my favorite place. You have to take a highway to get everywhere.
Yeah.
I love a walkable city.
Me too. Honestly, I love to be able to like walk around.
Same.
I don't really want to go places where I have to Uber everywhere.
Right.
It's not enjoyable.
Granted, I do buy a lot of Ubers here.
But it's kind of unavoidable sometimes. I mean, especially with the way the buses are here.
I know.
Or the public transit in general. Nothing's a sure thing.
We live about a mile from like the Blue Line.
I was going to say, so about a mile from the Blue.
It's a bit of a walk.
I used to take it.
Yeah, so there are a lot of buses. So nice. I opt for that usually just because, like, I don't know. The Blue Line, I think the thing about Chicago's public transit system is like, it's like spokes on a bicycle. Like you just kind of go into the loop and then... Yeah. And for me, it's like, well, that doesn't really make that much sense.
No, and then, there's literally so much areas you can see of just like empty, like, well, what do all those people do?
And like
who cares?
606, gorgeous bike path, but if that was a running rail system, that would be sick.
God. Yeah, exactly.
So
no, they really, I don't feel like in terms of like transportation, I feel like we don't have the best like extensive ways to like get around.
I agree.
And when people say that or like make that claim against Chicago, I'm like, I feel like that is fair.
I think so too.
Like you have to kind of live, like I feel like when people are looking for places, they want somewhere that's decently close. Yeah, exactly.
I know. Well, and when we first moved here, I knew that because he has always worked from home, and I knew that I was only going to be going in 2 days a week, so it wasn't like a must. But that commute was like almost an hour, which is a lot.
Yeah. Are you still doing 2 days a week?
No. So now I'm from home all the time, which is nice. And I think it's easier for me. I mean, I live with somebody. I know a couple coworkers who live on their own who are like, I feel like I'm always in my house. Yeah. So that's hard.
No, I remember when I lived with Devante, he worked from home and I was mostly gone most of the time. And now like living with Allison, like we kind of have like somewhat opposite schedules because she works nights. And so like, I can't imagine it would be then again it's tough when you're like off work because you're still kind of at the office.
Totally. It's harder to log off, and I'm bad about that. I don't do it as much as I should.
Yeah.
I actually just recently like turned off all the work related apps on my phone so they can't notify me, and I was like, I just did it for the weekend. But I was like, I might keep this.
Good for you.
So I'm thinking I'm going to keep that going. We'll see.
Like, for me, like, it's the little red notification.
Same.
Like, if I see that, it bothers me.
Me too.
I need to clear it off.
It.
Yeah.
So I turned off Gmail, Slack, our project management platform. Like, I was like, I'm not. Yeah.
Good for you.
It's been healing so far.
Yes.
I'm kind of enjoying it. So
no, it is nice to like, but no, then again, when I get the notification, I'm just like, oh, let me just look at this so I know what it is.
Right.
Like,
and then you start stressing and it's like a Saturday.
And that's the thing too, I think, like, or kind of like talking about like mental health. It's like our brains don't always know the difference between like when we see the notification, it's not like we're thinking actively like this is going to make me anxious. It happens in your body before you even know it.
Right.
Like it's not even something you're doing consciously. And I think there's many things that we do that are like that, like with scrolling and stuff, which not throwing any stones. I love to scroll. I scroll all the time, but it is so hard.
I'm the same. It's actually, my only, like, my New Year's resolution or intention or whatever this year was to spend less time on my phone, because for a while I didn't like pick up on TikTok right away, but now that I'm on it, I can spend 3 hours on there. That's disgusting.
Alice and I were talking this morning, and we were just like, there's nothing I hate more than getting that little like, hey, you've been on here for a while. I'm like, I know that. Yeah. I'm well aware.
Need to tell me.
Like, I'm embarrassed.
Totally. I feel so embarrassed whenever that notification pops up. And it is honestly, they are shaming you.
Yes, it is. That is the thing. It is shame. It feels, and I know it's like all fun. Like, ooh, look at these dead thumbs. Right. They're fun. And no shame, but yes, shame.
Yeah.
It does not feel good.
No. And I think it's crazy that they put that on there too, because they probably, it's definitely a good thing. But I'm surprised, because I feel like the goal for social media is to keep people on the apps.
I know. Maybe maybe it's kind of like a look, we're doing something. Like, I don't know. Maybe
but I'm the same way. I like really want to spend less time on my phone, and it's hard.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's really interesting that you mentioned like the anxiety thing happening kind of just in your body prior, because that's so fucking true. Even if I think I'm not paying attention to that work notification after I've looked at it, or I'm like, I'll address this Monday. Yeah. I'm stressing about it.
No, right. I like saw a video like a while ago that just said like our brains do not speak English. Like they are whatever language you speak, like because it's the same thing of like if you just say don't be anxious, that's not doing anything. Right. Like it's happening like so much in your body that before you even have the awareness that it's happening.
Yeah.
Which is which I think is why people probably think like that it's scary to get help for this, because I don't know how to fix it. Yeah. Like it's a scary thing. And even as a therapist, like or as a student therapist, like it's hard to know how to always help in those situations, because it takes so much of like us being able to work together.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why I would love like the culture around, being on my phone all the time, or just like the constant access that I have to information that people have to me, work, whatever it is, clients, friends. It's just like, everyone's so accessible. And I don't know if it should be like that, because like, I don't think it's good to tap into people all the time, or have people have access to me like that.
I absolutely agree with you, because when everything is open, like you just really have no ability to like shield certain parts. Right. Sometimes like things become intermingled and it gets confusing because like, or like if you work from home, like, and if you, what we were talking about, like with not logging out sometimes, it's like when you don't have like kind of the clear cut, like I'm home from work, I can't do anything else. Right. When you have the setup of where it's like kind of always around you, you never really even get a break from like the mindset that you're in when you're at work, which is almost always a more like anxiety based like mindset.
Which is hilarious, because again, I work in social media, but yes, it is anxiety inducing. Well, and I think for me too, like my work setup is in our living room, so that's also hard, because like I stay in the same room. I'm in the same space. Even when the working day is done. So, which is why, like, I mean, working from home has its pluses and minuses. I love being able to toss my laundry in, do the dishes.
A multitask. Nothing feels better than a few other productive things added onto a productive day.
For sure.
I think that's something too, is like we are so in this country driven by productivity.
I know.
It's all about.
Makes me sick.
Yeah, I know. It is. It's disgusting.
It is. Well, and like, I remember the first time that James and I went to Europe, I think the summer after senior year, or maybe the summer after freshman year of college. And we went to Europe, and it wasn't so much this way in London. We went to London and Paris, but in Paris, we were there in August and no one was there. The whole kind of things were closed. I mean, tourists were there.
Yeah.
But like the place that we were staying in was a little ways out of the city. A lot of the shops were closed because like the people just take the month of August off. And I was like, what a beautiful way to live.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah. Like literally
it's so much more relaxed.
There is so much of, like an attention on like the things that like I think we would like to ideally value here, they actually value.
Yeah.
Like, of course, everyone here thinks like family is important, friends are important, but like their society is set up in a way that is conducive to those things being the higher values.
Yeah.
But here,
that's so true.
Our society is set up for work to be the priority.
Yep.
And like every email that you send out about like, hey, have you meditated today? Like those are cute in theory, but they do nothing.
I know.
Like, and talking about like really establishing ways that people can live that are like financially sustainable.
Totally.
And like mentally sustainable.
Right.
Like,
I mean, it was like ironic for one of my clients for like Mental Health Awareness Day or something. You know, we're posting some tips and tricks, but it's like we're all working. All the people we're talking to are working. Like we're just like spewing this. Like no one's actually doing it. So I think it's just so interesting because we definitely approach that from this perspective of like, take a bath, but like don't. But definitely don't. Working.
But don't quit working and don't not respond to my email. Yeah. Definitely don't do that.
Definitely don't.
Like,
put the fucking tray on the bathtub and bring your little laptop. Like,
exactly. Find a way to do it in a way that works for us. Like, no.
It's crazy.
No.
Well, and even during study abroad, I studied abroad in London because I didn't want to have to learn another language.
You know what? That's okay.
Yeah. And so, and even like bank holidays, which are literally like, I mean, there's like one a week.
I know.
They would always get off.
Yes.
Everyone's just out in the park.
The best. Spain, we call them puentes, which literally means bridge, which I thought was always fun.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know. I think they said that it was supposed to like, I don't know. Someone explained it to me once. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But no, those were the best.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they were, frequent enough that like you always had one to look forward to.
Always. Like I would say they probably on average worked like 4-hour weeks.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, we should get on the train.
100%. I put that in every employee survey I'm given.
Honestly, I feel like 4-day. I really hope the 4-day work week becomes something.
Me too.
Very serious. But
we'll
like,
for sure be the last to pick it up.
Well, yeah.
But
no, definitely, as we are.
I keep seeing all the studies.
I know, every piece of research. It's like, and it doesn't take like a rocket scientist to figure out that like, having some amount of or a better ability to balance things like makes people happier.
100%.
Having another day to spend on like going to the like spending time with your family or going to the grocery store and like doing those things. It's like,
that's why I think it's so hard. You get 2 days in the weekend.
Whoever said 5 and 2?
Yeah.
That's not like at somebody was at a negotiating table, I'm just imagining, and they were just like, how about I think it's fair we do 4-3 because that's like logically just makes more sense. Like you still have a decent amount.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount that we, as Americans just like work. And I mean, I even remember growing up, you know, on all these working women. I thought I wanted to be this girl boss. And I was like, what a joke. Like, I'm like Sex in the City. You have all these things. And that's like the dream that is painted for you. And then I became, you know, a full-time employee. And I'm like, this is for the birds.
Yeah. I want to do nothing.
Same.
I would love to do nothing. Like, honestly, now that is my ideal. Because, like, this is exhausting. And they were telling us all along, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because I feel like but I love the Sex in the City reference. Because I like to tie that into my life on a pretty frequent basis.
I know. James and I want to get him to watch it. He's never seen it. And I had him choose between that and Desperate Housewives. We actually landed on Desperate Housewives, but...
Fair enough. I see, you know, I've never actually watched Desperate Housewives, but I do enough scrolling on TikTok that I get a lot of the little clips from the show.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel like I've basically watched it anyway. Yes. I mean...
I know. It's a classic. It's like the original Pretty Little Liars.
Ooh.
but much better.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, I really never thought. Again, I've never even seen the show, but I feel that I've seen enough of the clips to really get the gist.
Murder mystery, but with like grown women and better writers.
Yeah, that's all you really need for a hit show.
Honestly. But yeah, and I love Sex and the City too. It's a classic. I actually haven't watched And Just Like That. Have you?
No.
I don't think I'm going to give it my time.
I'm sorry. I just don't feel like, or no, that's not true. I did watch the first episode of And Just Like That. And I remember thinking like, I don't see where it's going to go, because like the fact that you're going to build it all up to like Big and Carrie being together and then kill him off episode 1. I'm so sorry for anyone that hasn't watched the show. I'm like, you're going to build all of that up. And we all knew she should have been with Aiden the whole time anyway.
Course.
He was always better to her and she was horrible to him.
I know.
He was a gem.
Truly. Also, much better looking. I mean, I don't know what those writers were doing. Big was a dick from the start.
I know. He was like, honestly, I feel like it was just like the whole time it was like, but I want him though. And it's like, I get that. But,
which does actually, that is realistic.
Yeah, honestly. I was going to say, actually, if you're going to say one thing, there's one thing that was realistic about that show. The fact that she was living in that apartment, writing a column a week. I know this is not new.
That's what I'm saying. It just paints a dream of this life that turns out unachievable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, which is so much of, and I, as a person who grew up in the very rural America, clung to those stories of like,
the big city life.
She made it. She finally did it, because I was like, that's going to be me when I'm older.
I know.
And now I'm definitely here, but I'm definitely not showing up the way they did in Sex and the City.
Same. And I have no intentions to do so.
No,
I want to lean into, relaxing. I just want to have fun. I think that, which just sounds so simple.
Yeah.
But like, I realize that is just so much. I just want to be out enjoying myself.
Yeah. No, next Friday you should come with Allison and I. We went to the, I don't remember the name of it. It's just swim club up. It's over.
Oh, did you guys go today?
Yes. Yeah.
Fun.
Have you ever been?
So I haven't. We have a couple of friends who have actually started doing it. I didn't know that was a thing, but I saw it and a couple of friends have gone. They were like, maybe you wait till July where it gets a little warmer.
I would say that's my only complaint about today was that everybody, you could see people. I will say though, it was hundreds of people.
There are like thousands. It's so many.
I'm so bad at looking at a group of people and being like, I have no idea how many people this is, but I know it's a lot.
Right.
Like, it was
the masses are jumping in.
The masses are jumping in. Yeah. But that was the problem with today was it was a little too chilly and that everybody was jumping in, but then there was just hordes around the two ladders. Like there was like 2 ladders and everybody's just going right around them.
Did you bring your own floaties? I've heard that's like a good,
That was another lesson we learned today was that you definitely have to have a floaty next time.
Yeah.
Because there was so many people and a lot of them, or that was how we even knew where it was that we just were following the line of people with floaties.
Yes.
That really
I want to
did
do
help.
it. I think it looks really fun and I think it's cute. They serve coffee. There's like a mug contest. I follow it on Instagram now.
The coffee line was very long, but also sense. When there's that many people, it's just going to be long.
Yeah. And I think I think it's crazy that they even have that.
Yeah.
Free coffee for, what is going on?
I didn't really know that it started with like just a couple of friends.
Yeah.
That just wanted to see each other during the pandemic. And I was
That's so sweet.
I know. I was like, that almost makes a nostalgic tear just fall. I've been so sensitive about nostalgic things lately where like
same.
If I see like anything that is remotely sweet or nice, I will just start to cry.
Totally.
Like if it's a soldier coming home and his dog greeting him.
For sure.
Like
a lot of TikToks like that.
Oh my gosh. Yes. You can't get enough.
You
and
really
every
can't.
single one I'll cry.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
And they're always the same.
Yeah.
But I'm going to cry.
Yeah. Like somebody coming into a giant group of people after they've had a big surgery. I'm just like, that's so beautiful.
100%. I know. I'm approaching my 27th birthday.
Ooh.
And within like the 2 months before my birthday, I get really sentimental.
Yeah.
Everything just like, I don't know what it is. And I'm not even like, I don't put a lot of importance on my birthday per se. Like, I don't feel like, I turned 27 and my world has changed. Mm-hmm. But like something about it, I feel like it's a time of reflection. So yeah, little things like that totally just get me.
No, it really is though.
Yeah.
I mean, and like for as much as I feel like we trivialize things a lot, like it's another year of like of life that not everybody gets to make it to. Like, it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
I know, even though 27, nothing cool about that, but
I know, yeah, you don't really know like big perk of 27 except another year in the biz.
I did recently have someone say to me though, like 30s are like your 20s but with money.
Everyone says your 30s are the best.
I like that.
I absolutely, it gives us something to look forward to, because I feel like I was always maybe under the impression that it was the 20s that were the real money spot. But like now being in them, I think that also kind of colors like your idea of like being in your 20s and struggling.
For sure.
Is you feel like, oh my God, like these are supposed to be the best years.
Yep.
And I'm struggling really hard.
That's
so
true. Because that is the picture that's painted after college and even in college. And then you kind of get out, you get your first job, and it's supposed to be this amazing.
Yeah.
But it's fucking hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Like literally, I think about the number of times I've just been like, am I alone in this? But anytime I will stop self-isolating and actually talk to someone, I'm like, oh, everybody knows what I'm going through. Everybody gets it. Like, because we're all going through it. Maybe it doesn't look the same.
Right. And for the most part, it doesn't. Yeah. But I mean, I think everyone has that same kind of base level feeling of like, what the fuck am I doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, am I even any good at this?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, I will always have those days where I'm like, I'm so good at this. Like, I will have those few days of like Delulu self-confidence.
Absolutely.
Just like being like, oh yeah, I was born to do this job. And then, but I think honestly, my therapist said something that was really resonated. She was like, it's kind of always just feeling as good as feeling as good as the last session went. And I was like, ooh, yeah, sometimes that is the truth. Like if I leave off on a good one, I'm like, hell yeah.
Right. Top of the world.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know. Well, and it's so interesting too, because obviously we've touched on this a little bit, like as Americans and how much you value your career and how much that has to be a part of your identity. Mm-hmm. I'm like currently trying to fight against that a little, because I think I need a job that I actually care about, at least to some degree, or I don't think I'd be able to do it every day.
Yeah.
Or for 40 hours a week, or frankly more.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, work doesn't matter that much. I don't want my job to be my only defining factor.
Sure.
So like finding that balance. And it's honestly been very hard.
No, honestly, that is like, no, that's a very real like struggle in trying to like, and especially once you've got it, having the job that like really you feel like aligns with your values. It's like, well, then you kind of do get pushed on your boundaries a little bit of like, am I going to like completely throw myself into this? And like, where's the line of like, what is my passion and like what I have to do to get paid?
Right. Like, cause some days it's just a job and it sucks.
Yeah. And it can also be like, oh, I don't have to give everything of myself today. I can just go and I can do the thing and then I'll come home. But like, if you're doing something you really love, it just feels bad to do it half-assed.
For sure.
Which some days you kind of, like in any job, some days you're going to have to go in and not be your best.
Yeah, you are not going to have it. Yeah. That's normal human nature.
I know, which is always so annoying to me. Whenever real human things like come up, or like when I find out about how exercising really does make you feel better, I'm always pissed.
I know. Me
I'm like,
too.
this is so annoying.
Same. I haven't gotten into a good routine since moving here, and I used to run a lot. It's like the only athletic thing that I could do. After I played volleyball for my first year, I did track that spring, and then I was like, I'm way better at this. So I did cross country in the fall every year after that. And I like running. It was something that I did actually with my dad a lot too. And now he can't run anymore. He's got some ankle stuff. So somehow I kind of also quit, even though.
Do you just run over on the trail?
So I do sometimes, yeah. But like I definitely am not in the same routine that I used to be in Madison. Yeah. I had all my spots. I knew where to go. So that's kind of been an interesting thing. But yeah, every time I do it, I'm reminded like, okay, yeah, it's pretty much awesome. I mean, sometimes I just leave the house and I'm like, wow, I love it out here.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like working from home, this week in particular, I had like a lot of work to do. I think there were 2 full days that I didn't go outside.
Oh.
And I was like, that's gross.
Yeah, there will definitely be.
Like literally.
Like, please, if you're going to do anything, just go touch grass. Yeah, literally. No, I mean, that was like something that I totally didn't totally believe when my teachers would say like, hey, just so you know, in the summer, you will get less clients because people feel better. They're more willing to go outside. They want to go do the things that during the winter, especially in Chicago, they're not going to go see friends as much and things like that. And it's so true. Like that's in the summer, people just like are happier because the sun is out.
I mean, we're like plants. We just like we're doing our photosynthesis.
Yes, exactly. No, but that's really being here. Like being in Chicago in the summer will make you love it so much.
I'm excited. It's my first Chicago summer and it's awesome.
It makes you love it so much that it feels like the winters are kind of worth it.
For sure.
Because Chicago
and as Midwesterners, we're used to that concept already.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I mean, everything fun would happen during the summer.
For sure. Like, I mean, Madison lights up in the summer. It's also fun because the college students, for the most part, would leave.
Right. Yeah. So you'd really that's got to be interesting of like having that or living in a college town like all the time. You really get like those 3 months where
it's crazy.
It feels like it's almost a little bit more yours.
Yeah. And not everyone leaves, but right. Like, it's so funny. All the parents start coming back downtown again and like taking over the Union. It's hilarious.
I love that. The Union. I mean, that is just, I remember we went and like sat there. It's gorgeous.
It's so fun. I love, you can grab a brat, some corn. You're sitting out on the water. They have a lot of music that comes through there. Playing cards, whatever it is. Getting in a fight with your friends because you're playing cards.
Yes. I mean, what else would you be doing?
Right.
If you're going to play cards, that's going to come along with it.
It is. It's just natural.
Do you have any plans for like Chicago summer or like any events you've heard of that you want to go do?
Nothing major yet. We went to Do Division a couple of weeks ago, which I kind of just stumbled upon it. I don't remember how I found it. Something on Instagram.
I don't know if I'm familiar. What is Do Division?
It was just like a street festival, I think, in Wicker.
Okay.
And they had 2 stages, and in between the stages were just a bunch of booths. There were like handmade goods you could buy, arts and crafts, all sorts of things, food trucks and stuff. So we went to that, and an event like that, a market, live music, if I can like buy a beer, that's all I need.
Yes.
That's the best.
Oh my God. But I love to see just like getting out in the summer and seeing like other people enjoying too does make me very happy.
Well, and it's fun here because I would say in comparison to Madison, obviously Chicago is just so much more diverse. Like every single type of person, it doesn't matter who's playing on the stage. Like all these different people are just out enjoying this, and it's so fun. Which, like in Madison, I mean, certainly similarly, the whole city would come out when there was something like that going on.
Yeah.
But here, there are probably like 5 different festivals happening every weekend.
Literally every weekend.
It's crazy.
But you know what I am not happy about? And I'll say this because I'm brave, is the NASCAR stuff downtown.
That's what's happening?
Yeah. They're like going to be shutting down huge swaths of downtown for like NASCAR races. And
we don't need to bring that here.
Why?
Yeah.
I feel like it was just Lori Lightfoot just like giving one last like screw you guys. Honestly, like
that's hilarious.
Yeah, because I think she did put that together like as she was on her way out, and I
wonder
if
she's a big NASCAR girl.
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just like another like, especially in Grant Park where there's like so much of the traffic flowing around that is like people coming in and out. Like it's just gonna be.
Do we even have? Is there a racetrack?
No, they're making one with our streets, and I'm just like, but why? Like, I just don't get who asked for this or who was clamoring for NASCAR cars to drive on the streets of Chicago.
And there are already places you can go and do that.
Yeah, there's pre-made places they build just for that.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, like, that's probably taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, I mean, you think.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm sure it's like bringing in money, and that's why everybody's like, or that's why they're like, it's fine, we're gonna do this. But also,
like, we get tourists with or without NASCAR.
Yeah, and especially in the summer. The summer is just like.
When is that happening?
I feel like in the early weeks of July. I think.
Gross. But probably 4th of July. Yeah.
But like, no, I mean, I live up north, and then my school is all the way on like 95th. So like, I take Lakeshore all the way down. So like, if that, I'm already like preemptively upset about it.
Of course.
But I feel like that's part of like living in the city is just like finding things to be upset about at certain points. Of
course. I mean, and that's, I think, just like a human right
that
we all have. Yeah. Because I feel like my parents were the same way. And even if it was just their neighborhood, they're finding something to get pissed about.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It builds camaraderie.
It really does. I never thought, I'm sure I've thought about it that way before, but I love that. Just did you see what Cheryl's putting in her yard?
Exactly. I feel like that's what, what is that neighborhood app called? My mom's on that shit, nobody's business.
I've heard of neighborhood Facebook groups, but I don't think I'm familiar with that app.
She's in some of those too. Yeah, there's an app. I can't remember what it's called, but it's and people are just posting everybody's business. Everyone's just trying to rile everybody up.
I see that whoever lives in 409, full well knowing who lives in 409, being like, I
by
saw
first
that they
and
haven't.
last name.
Yeah, right. I see you haven't cut your grass yet. It's just so.
It's that shit.
Yeah, it's needing to find something to be upset about, and I personally. I'm always trying to run away from any sort of pain, misery, anything that's going to make me upset. I'm please don't.
Do you drive to work?
If I'm working at the gym is in the loop, so I'll take the bus. But for me to go to school, I don't really get out till 9. And so I'm I do not want to ride the red line all the way back up to my house. So so I'll drive to school, but I only have to go once a week. But most of the clients I see are virtual, which is very, I think
do you say people prefer that now?
I think a decent amount of people do. For a while I only had a couple of in-person clients. I think a lot of people really prefer the convenience of not
then you don't
having
have to travel.
Yeah, and gas, adds up and stuff like that.
And time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's the same value?
I will say that the only thing I don't like about it is that there's so much information that you really do get from being with a person in person.
Even just reading body language.
Exactly. And I think also, I just think there's an element of connection in any sort of an internet space that we're not getting. That I think that we get a sense that we're getting it because we are getting some sort of a connection, but being in the physical presence of someone even does add a little bit of a dimension that I do think has been missing.
I agree. And I think too, people were craving that so much after the pandemic anyway, and now we're in this interesting space where convenience is one thing. I feel that way about working from home.
Right.
But I manage people then through the computer, and that's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't know when people are going to be logged in and the response times and stuff like that.
Right.
But being able to walk into somebody's office,
Right. And even just to ask somebody a question, if you're next to them, that process is just quicker. You're going to get your answer.
Yeah.
But somehow, online, you're can we hop on Zoom quick or whatever it is? And it becomes a whole thing. So it's interesting.
No, it's that's. I also think there's a proportion of people that after the pandemic, being social was significantly more difficult,
right?
Because they had gone for so long without it, and
there was a new normal,
right? And there was the dimension of people genuinely being afraid, to go out and be in big social spaces,
totally,
which makes sense.
Yeah, I think that was so interesting too, because some people were fighting so hard against it or craved it so much, but then some people were so apprehensive, but also still wanted to see people, but some people took that personally.
Yeah.
It was
It was, when we'll talk about trauma, which is such a big word and constantly gets thrown around.
Sure.
We all in some way are a little bit dealing with,
of course,
the trauma of COVID. It was a huge significant thing that no one was unaffected by.
Absolutely.
We all lost certain opportunities or different things changed for us in really big ways.
I know, and I think that it's so hard to see that in the moment because you're just in survival mode or whatever.
Right.
And in the grand scheme of things, in my personal life, nothing super major happened. I didn't lose any loved ones. Well, that's technically not true. My aunt did die of COVID complications, but it wasn't directly related. And I think even that, right? It's the complications, but at the end of the day, it is the virus.
Yeah, right.
And so I think it's interesting because then when you reflect on it, you're you got to wonder how much that fucked you up. It's hard to know.
Yeah, right. We're still figuring it out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we are still very much finding out like how much, and especially I think the thing that comes up for me is like working with kids,
For
like
sure.
how much, because they were in like a development phase.
I can't even imagine.
I think that there is like so much that like I hope that our like kids are able to still get.
Yeah.
But I also like just know so many teachers and hear a lot about like how schools are now, and it like,
For sure.
I don't know, it's concerning for sure.
I know. Well, and I think it's funny. I mean, even just talking about how we're turning, 27, I don't feel 27. I feel like the pandemic was a big part of that.
Oh my God.
Our
time, my concept of time
Those
has
2 years,
been completely altered by that.
They are kind of just lost.
They literally feel like kind of like toss away years. I feel like we should get to say we're 25.
I think so too.
I really do. I think
feel 25.
Yeah. In terms of like where I thought it, or maybe when I was younger, where I thought I would be at like 27.
Same.
I feel like I'm there now, like, but I feel like I'm 25. I really do.
I know. And it's so interesting too. I mean, and even if I just think back to like, when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, by 25, I'm going to be married, have kids. Yeah. I'm so glad I'm not. But like,
can you imagine?
It's just fascinating. I think something very cool though about moving to a bigger city, and it's not right for everybody, but it was definitely the right move for me. You stay so much longer in a city like Chicago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like being 27, if you, even in Madison, or even if your hometown or something, probably looks so different.
Oh my God. No, anyone who like lives near there now is either engaged or has children.
Right. You have a house, you got dogs, whatever it is. Yeah.
I feel like we get to play a little longer than or I don't know. Maybe that is just like the landscape of having like so much around you to like go and do that. It maybe like kids aren't really on your mind.
Right.
But like
honestly,
when you're living in a different place where like you really have work and there's still, you still have fun and stuff like that, but it certainly looks different. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think for here too, like most of the people that I'm surrounded by are on the same shit. Like everyone's just, still fucking around. We go out on the weekends. And like, it's not like in college per se, but it's a lot more based around activities and stuff, which is really fun. I mean, it's awesome. There's so much to do. It's overwhelming.
I know. I think like especially during these like last couple months, I have been such a shut-in. Totally. But now that the sun is out, I'm like, I need to do more things.
I know.
Like I need to leave the house more. So anytime Allison and I get any sort of sniff of anything going on, we're like, we'll come. We'll go.
I know. Well, and I feel like as someone who works from home, I'm like itching to find those reasons to leave the house.
Yes.
So that definitely contributes as well.
I'm always looking for something that's going to like get me to go somewhere because it's sitting alone at home. It just gets to be
for sure.
Oh man.
Well, and that's part of why I love having this podcast. So thank you for coming on. Cause honestly, it's just a fun way to get people over to the house and like,
oh my gosh, I feel so lucky to have been invited on. Thank you. And it was so like, honestly, it was so wonderful to get to like catch up and hear so much about what you've been doing.
I know. Well, and you're a great podcast guest, so you should for sure come and do this soon.
I would love to.
Moving the camera.
Hi, Peanut. Hi, kitten.
He must know that we're wrapping up. He always does this.
He knew. He was like, this is my time.
For sure. It's time to get some attention. But I would love to have you back on soon.
I would love that. Yes.
And before we wrap up, have you ever done I'm sure you're familiar with Rose and a Thorn?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. I'm
exercise.
Familiar. Mm-hmm.
Well, as someone who's consistently a pessimistic person, hence this podcast, it's definitely something I try to do a little bit more.
Okay.
So I'd love to hear yours, but I'll go first.
Please do, because I'm trying to remember the format.
Yes.
Like, okay.
So Rose and a Thorn. Rose is just like something from your day that was a positive. Mm-hmm. Thorn is the negative. And then Bud, you can kind of think of it in two ways, two schools of thought, if you will. Some people do like something you're looking forward to, or something that you can like improve upon for next time.
Okay, love that. All right.
So I would say my rose today, Fridays, for summer Fridays, they're a no meeting day. So I can look bad. I don't have to be on camera. There's just kind of no expectations. I actually get a lot of more work done on those days.
Yeah.
I'm terrible about if I get interrupted, like the productivity just completely plummets.
Yes.
So a good no working day. It's also like easier to just start. You know, I don't have to hop on my 9 a.m. every morning.
I love a lazy morning.
It's nice. It's the best. It's one of life's many pleasures.
Yes, it just feels good to go slow.
It really does. And I feel like that's a theme in my life right now. I'm trying to slow the fuck down. So that was definitely my rose. I would say my thorn. I honestly got bad sleep last night. I woke up this morning. I was like, I would love to stay in bed. Didn't get to do that, of course. Had to turn my little Slack on. But I think, you know, duty calls.
Why are they making us do this?
Seriously.
Why are they doing this to us?
So I think that was definitely my thorn. But something that I'm looking forward to. We actually have some friends coming into town this weekend.
Fun.
James has a show tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
So that'll be fun. I'm excited to just, it'll be fun to host some people. It's friends who have not come down and visited us yet. So it'll be really fun.
Oh my
Show
gosh.
them the city. That's always so fun.
That really is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you're still looking for things to do the architecture tour.
I know. I haven't done it yet. Everyone says it's so cool.
Like at first I kind of thought like, oh, that doesn't sound that great. But like, but when you get on, like, no, it is so interesting. And I've
only heard good things.
Yeah. I never really appreciated really how much different architecture we have in Chicago until I took that tour.
Well, and I heard that all the people who run it are volunteers, so they're just like passionate about it, which is really cool.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I had like a friend he's like studying to become an architect, or I think he just graduated, but like he was talking about how like, all of them just like
love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Which
they
is
just
cool.
love it. Yeah.
And they all have like their little jokes. I mean, I'm down.
And they have great stories like about times people have gotten to propose to, or like the one time there was like one time that Obama had like come into town for a dinner and they like had to shut down a bridge. Whoa. So they were stuck on like, were not able to get back to like where they started the cruise at for 3 hours.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And so they opened up the bar though, and they were like,
that's so
they
fun.
opened up the bar and people just got like plastered.
That's hilarious.
Just while Obama had lunch. Like, don't you love that?
Awesome.
Okay.
The power he has.
I mean, to this day, okay. Okay. So my rose would besides obviously being on this podcast, this was so wonderful. And
thank you.
I've absolutely loved being on. Other than that, of course, I would say doing the jump in the lake this morning was actually very fun.
I know. I really gotta do it.
Yes, come over because we can walk right from our apartment.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's do it. It was great. So that would be my rose.
To start the day.
It really, for as much as I'm like cold plunging, like what does that do?
Yeah.
Like I feel like they've got a point.
Doing something.
Yeah, I know. Anytime I see someone doing something weird, I'm like they know something I don't.
For sure.
They have to. My thorn would probably be this morning after we did the jump, we like walked over to a coffee shop and there was a guy that like walked in the door and we were in line just in a different direction. And the guy tried to kind of make his own line. And then he was asking like, where's the line? We were like, it's back here. He gets in line and then was being very snarky. And then he just like, and one of the people in front of us was just like, that's actually always how the line is. And he's like, no, it's not. And he's just like, it's always like that. And then he just walks. He like clearly let that ruin his whole morning.
I know. It's always so funny when you can see that happen to somebody.
I know, because I'm sure I would never be outspoken or like say to someone, he literally said to someone, go fuck yourself. And I was God. I'm like, again, people just want to be mad about something.
For sure. I also think specifically in coffee shops, when you're encountering someone before they've had their first cup, it's like that is a recipe for disaster.
I know, yeah. Like I've been him before. Yeah. I don't think I would tell someone to go fuck themselves.
No, it's never
but like
escalated to that degree.
But I've been crabby before in the morning. I
Absolutely.
Get it. And my bud would probably be something I'm like excited for, right?
Yeah.
I'm probably looking forward to is 4th of July. I'm gonna go home and like be with my family, so I'm actually really looking forward to that.
That's definitely a great holiday to be home. It just is because like America, whatever, but it is just like one of those. It's a classic. It feels like home.
Right. Yeah. Getting to like go back to like we have like a lake house near where I grew up, and so like getting to go back there with and like seeing some high school friends, it'll be really fun. So
I know it is definitely a holiday to be out on the water.
Yeah. No. And now I like did 1 year where I wasn't there. I like stayed and did something else here, and I remember being like, I'm never doing this again.
Right.
I'm never doing this again.
Yes, totally.
Oh, but no, thank you so much for having me.
Of course,
I've loved being
awesome.
here.
I know it's so fun. It's just like a great way to. It's funny too because like it wouldn't necessarily be weird if I just invited you over to hang.
Yeah.
But like we've really only hung out a few times.
I know. Yeah.
So it's perfect. It's a great way to get to know somebody.
It's true. Honestly, I never thought about it, but it's true. Yeah.
But I'd love to hang soon.
Yes, let's do it.
And thank you guys for listening to this episode. This is going to be one of the first few episodes of my next season. Ooh. So this will be after my month off. But amazing. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
And we'll do it again soon. Bye. Another cathartic convo in the books. I feel better. How about you? Thank you so much for listening. Now I just want to jump on here and say, don't forget to follow and or subscribe to the pod on your favorite streaming platform for new episodes every single week, because I know you can't get enough of me. Additionally, if you want to gain access to exclusive episodes and lots of other goodies, join our Patreon and support the pod with your hard-earned American dollars. You can find the link in our show notes, or you can also visit us at patreon.com/pessimistic@best. And of course, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at pessimistic@best. And if you're as obsessed with me as I am with you, you can find me at Sam Georgeson on all platforms. And last but not least, I'd like to give a special shout out to my podcast editor and producer, the love of my life, James Arbai, whom I literally could not do this without. So thank you, James. I love you so much. And thank you guys for joining me again this week. I love you too, and I cannot wait to chat with you again soon.